I'm DJ Tori G with 90.3 The Core, and I'm here with Hot Dress in the studio. Just did the christening of our Tiny.3 in studio series, hopefully series, but they're NJ DIY band, Friends of the Station, and a featured band on our Corefest 2023 lineup. We're so excited to have you guys in the studio. If you guys can please go around and say your names and like kind of what you do in the band.
My name's Andrew. I sing and I help write guitar parts and bass parts.
My name's Jason. I mostly lead guitar, sometimes rhythm guitar, just guitar.
My name's Cecil. Today you saw me playing the guitar, but I play the bass.
My name is Caleb. I play the drums in Hot Dress.
And I'm Max, and I play guitar. In Hot Dress.
Very cool, thank you. So when introducing you, I call you NJ DIY and not New Brunswick DIY because I'm not actually sure like where you guys started up, if you started in New Brunswick, outside New Brunswick, earlier than that. So does anybody want to maybe explain where you guys met and how you started?
I'll give a little history lesson. So we are all from East Brunswick. We met in East Brunswick High School. We're all like different age gaps. Me, Cecil, and Jason are all the same age. Max is a year older, and then Caleb is a senior in high school right now. When we were all like still in high school, or like mostly in high school, Max and I were in a different band together, and the three of them, Cecil, Jason, and Caleb, were in like a rival band, and we kind of hated each other. He had like a hate page for my band, and then both of our bands broke up, and then we like fused into like one like mega East Brunswick high school band, and then some of us go to Rutgers now, and we play like some shows like locally in the New Brunswick area, but technically we're an East Brunswick band.
Oh. Yeah, very cool. So. Oh no. Keep going. Okay. All right. Let's see what we can pick up after that. Okay. So, you guys are heavily into. You said you're from like East Brunswick, right? Yeah. Did you guys like find yourself like involved in like the New Brunswick music scene before coming to Rutgers, or like was it like do you guys have like a different like hometown scene than like New Brunswick, or like so you were all in high school playing in bands? Like where were you playing?
Yeah. We never really played any gigs in East Brunswick. We played at the high school once or twice. We played some like backyard type shows, but yeah, on his front porch. But we really started playing like a lot more shows once we started going to Rutgers and got more into the New Brunswick scene and did a lot of basement shows and stuff. And now we've been playing different shows around New Jersey. We played Crossroads in Garwood, Stone Pony down in Asbury. A lot of things around New Jersey.
So like a lot of the venues that you guys have been playing recently, I noticed one of them was the Stone Pony, which is really cool. And then you just said Crossroads, which is a really big gig. I think like Joyce Manor played there recently too. So it's like a pretty big venue. So like how does that compare to like New Brunswick music scenes, like versus like what's it like playing like one of those shows versus like coming back to New Brunswick and playing in the basements?
I don't know. It's weird. We like both. The New Brunswick gigs are a little, I don't know. I don't want to say they're more fun, but they're much more like laid back, and we can like just kind of do what we want or like mess around and stuff. Cecil, want to add?
Yeah, the crowd is obviously like a bunch more college kids, younger adults, but like, you know, at these big venues, we're playing for like families, like parents of parents. So it does get like, we're kind of held to like a different standard in a way, but I will say like playing in the New Brunswick area, playing in like some random basement that probably violates some kind of like, I don't know, like, yeah, health code. It's its own experience for sure.
Yeah, because like with the basement shows, I feel like there's like a huge community there, and it sort of like feels like a family. Like, how did you guys find like once like? Because any of you like go to Rutgers? Like, okay, so like any of you that go to Rutgers, like, you know, how did you like find the scene, and how did you like kind of like integrate the band into the scene? Because I feel like, you know, you kind of gotta like usher in, you know, some kind of
Last year when I was a freshman, I took Jason and Max to a show at the Milky Mansion where I think we saw Latchkey Kids, Razor Braids, and like just a bunch of like New Brunswick or like New Jersey-based bands, just to check out like what the New Brunswick scene was like, and I don't know, it was like cool just to see like all the college kids and like people our age just like hanging out and like listening to music. And then like I spoke to a couple people there, and like there's a New Brunswick group chat with like all the basement show information, and then we just slowly like integrated ourselves into there, and it was mostly fun.
Lots of asking around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So with like the New Brunswick music scene, I remember like vividly like in my mind, because I used to be a Demarest kid, so I like had like an eye on Demarest stuff. I remember you guys playing that one gig at Demarest like super early on. I think it was like a cover band show, and you guys were like the Strokes or something like that. Yeah, so I remember seeing that, and like I think it's really cool and unique because Demarest used to be like kind of like a low-key thing, but that gig like really brought out a crowd. So I think it was like, you know, super awesome to see that, and I think a lot of that had to do with like your influence and your energy. And then also the band that you guys played was the Strokes. I know from like just creeping on your Spotify and listening to your music that I know you guys like the Strokes. I can definitely hear it heavily influenced in your music recorded. Here in the studio, it sounded like a little bit more like, it sounded more like one cohesive style, which is actually really cool. I think it had to do a lot with growth. But do you guys have like any other like musical interest, like you know, influences besides the Strokes?
Yeah. For me, a big like person that got me, or not person, but a big band that got me into music was Radiohead, and I mean, I think I'll always like them, and they'll always be a big influence on me, and that's like a big one. But recently, we've been listening to a lot of like UK-based post-punk bands like Black Country on the Road, Black Midi, Shame, and we've been really liking those guys. But yeah, we have a really, although we all do like the Strokes and things like that, we do have a pretty eclectic music taste between the five of us. So I think, you know, it comes together in a package.
And then do you guys have like any like individual artists that you think are like influence you directly with like your music? Like what do you listen to that like inspires you to play like music the way that you do?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like all of our music tastes kind of changes throughout the year. So like for me personally, lately I've been listening to like a lot of hardcore and like punk and stuff. So like I've been listening to a lot of like Code Orange, which has been heavily influencing in its own way because we sound nothing like them. But it like inspires me to like go right, I guess, even though like it's something completely different sound. Do you want to add?
Yeah, I'm sure everyone knows what I'm gonna say. There's a little band called Geese, my shirt. We all love Geese. We love Geese. They're not my age, but they're like Max and everyone else's age. They're from Brooklyn, and their sound is something that I really like a lot. It's not too weird, but like it makes you stop and say like, that was cool. And I think not only from a songwriting aspect, but from like a performance aspect, like we went to see them live last April, and like their energy, and especially the drummer, like I take a lot of inspiration from him because his play style and just the way he commands the drum set is something that I really want to try and emulate as best as I can. And I think having someone to look up to, not only from a songwriting perspective, but from like the way you present yourself, I think that's also really important.
Okay, so kind of like going on to like a little bit of a different topic. You guys like as individuals, like I mean, sort of like on the same page, like as like individual artists. Like when did you guys start picking up like the instruments that you did, and like how have you like developed them and stuff like that, and how does that differ? Yeah, absolutely.
I started playing guitar about like 5 or 6 years ago now. I started on a really crappy basic Fender acoustic, and did some lessons at Guitar Center and learned like some basic chords and stuff, but I don't know. I never listened to that much acoustic music, and I was like, I don't want to play this, I want to play electric. So I got an electric, and I was really big into like 80s metal at the time, Metallica, Megadeth, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. So that was a big, I guess, inspiration for me to just start playing. And then I kind of just self-taught on metal songs, which was I would not recommend starting playing like metal songs. It's very difficult, but I don't really listen to metal as much anymore. But I don't know. I take a lot of influence from a car seat headrest and LCD sound system and songwriting and stuff. So I've definitely like grown in the past 6 years, like song wise.
I started playing guitar in like 8th or 9th grade, playing like Blink-182 songs. I was not very good. I still do play guitar and like bass and stuff. And in the band that I played in high school, I played bass. I started singing like 2 years ago just to like switch it up and try something different because I'd always been interested in like the performance and like showmanship and like, I don't know, I guess front manning and singing in general. I don't know. It was just something that I was interested in and then wanted to try. And we all banded together and I got the opportunity to do so.
So I actually didn't start with the bass guitar. I started with the upright bass back in high school, my orchestra, and I really liked playing like these low, loud notes. But I also didn't like having to like carry this huge instrument around, and I don't know, it was just very boring to me. Like I'm not really a fan of playing orchestral music. I like listening to it, but like being there in the back, standing still for like who knows how many minutes, it just wasn't really my thing. So like halfway through sophomore year, I bought a pretty bad bass guitar from one of my good friends. It was for a good price, I'm not even gonna lie. But from then on, yeah, I was just listening to a lot of like, at the time, I was listening to indie music. I was listening more to like jazz. Kind of what Jason said, depending on like the kind of music, it's not really a good genre to start at because like I'm trying to get into playing the bass guitar and then there are all these like fast notes and I was really overwhelmed. But it took me like a couple of months to warm up to it, and I just like toned it down, started smaller, and that's when I really like found my footing with the instrument.
I've been playing the drums for almost a decade. I think this August will be 10 years since I got my first drum set. It was actually my uncle's drum set. Like, similar to their other stories, it was in very bad condition, and but he gave it to me, and I knew that it was something special because whenever we would go over to their house for parties or whatever, and keep in mind I'm like 6 or something, I would hop on it and see what was up. And according to my dad, I don't know if this is true or not, but they would say that I wasn't just like banging on it, like I was really like there was rhythm and purpose there. So that encouraged me to stick with it, and I took lessons at Guitar Center and whatnot. And then COVID hit, so I stopped going to Guitar Center. But around that time, I was with these guys, so I was definitely in a groove practicing. And I think since I've been with them, the trajectory of my growth has been exponential. Like I find like we all build off of each other and just get better with time.
So I got my first guitar. My parents got it for me when I was in like 5th grade from Highway Music, which just closed, unfortunately, in East Brunswick. But I didn't really start playing until like 6 years ago or so. Started with the classics, Smoke on the Water, Wonderwall, yeah, the bangers. Yeah, and I just like started learning stuff off YouTube, like tutorials and stuff from whatever I was listening to at the time, which was probably like Cage the Elephant or whatever I was listening to in high school. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like a bad instrument is sort of like a rite of passage, like as a musician, like getting like one of your like I like started with like one of my dad's like beat up guitars, and then, like the strings were all weird and different colors because it was so old. But yeah, so you all come from like different musical backgrounds. Like some of you were like in like playing like a stand-up bass, and then some of you were playing like literal like metal music in your bedroom, which actually like makes sense to me because you're a very good guitarist. So like that guitar is not easy. But so how do you like how did you find like a middle ground in your sound, and like how did you start like collaborating together, and like how has that evolved over time in your like songwriting and just collaboration as a band?
I think because the first time that we ever like played all together was we wanted to do a cover of The Adults Are Talking by the Strokes because the new Abnormal, the like recent album, had just come out, and like we were all like pretty crazy about it, and I don't know, we wanted to give it a try because we knew that we were all like musically inclined, and just playing that was like, okay, we know we can do the sound, we know it sounds good, and we know we like this. So we kind of had that like for a while, but like as we've like been together and playing together for like all these years and had different influences and like interests sound wise, I feel like we've implemented some of that into what we've written, but at the same time, like there's so much more to grow with.
I was just gonna say, I still don't think we mesh well sometimes, because if you go on our Spotify, like all of our music kind of sounds vastly different. So we're still working on that quite a bit, because we all have very different tastes. We have like a lot of similar tastes too, but like I feel like a lot of us try to pull from very different genres and styles. So it's still like a work in progress.
Yeah, I kind of like noticed that myself. I think that like some of the beginning music is like sort of like it's like poppier, and then it's just sort of like, you know, like making a song, and then I think it gets kind of like edgier, and then it gets softer, and but I don't know. The two new songs that you guys played today were like very good. They're like primo, so I can't wait to hear them if they do come out. If you want to put them out. Sidebar: what is your favorite song off of the new Abnormal Strokes album?
Well, now there's pressure. Not the Same Anymore is my personal favorite.
It's Ode to the Mets. I don't care what anybody says.
I like At the Door.
Not the Same Anymore.
Good choice.
Maybe Selfless.
Let's
go.
Sorry, guys.
Fags. It's a great song. Yeah, so I mean, going back onto your like collaboration as a band, like what does your songwriting process kind of look like? Like what if you were to like go and like write a song like tomorrow or something like that, like what would it look like? Who would bring what, and like, you know, who like usually starts it, you know, kind of like how it looks like.
It's been different for a lot of the songs we've released. Sometimes we'll just be jamming and then find something we like a chord progression or something, and then build on that and send it to each other back and forth and work on it. Or sometimes like I'll write something with just like an acoustic guitar chord and like a vocal melody and send it to Andrew or send it to the band and see what they have to say about it, if they want to do something with it. It's a lot of just like sending musical ideas back and forth and, you know, seeing what sticks, seeing what we like.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you guys besides, Michaela, that is so small. I can't see that. My vision's so bad.
Band name?
Oh yeah. Like how did like Hot Dress come about? I sort of like in my mind the way that I saw Hot Dress, like let me I like, you know how you have like your like notes app list of band names that you come up come up with, it like kind of, it reminds me of that.
So when we had our first practice, we didn't have a name. We didn't have a name for like a few weeks after we like were playing together and like rehearsing. But then the first show that we ever had was on my front porch, and we were like, we should probably have a name for ourselves. And we were doing that thing where you throw a million like band name ideas in a group chat, and then you just kind of vote on it. And there's a song by The Voids called Curious, where they say hot track, hot dress, undressing this hot mess. And I was like, there's definitely bands called Hot Mess. What about Hot Dress, guys? And so we were like, yeah, that sounds fine for now. And then we never changed it, because I personally don't think there's a such thing as like a good band name. I think that they are all mediocre or get like sour over time. So even if we did change it, I think we would run into the same issue of like, this is kind of not the best. But yeah, it was just like, we had that temporarily and we just stuck with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good band name. I think it's what like comprises of a good band name is like the ability to say it. Like the longer it gets, the worse people are going to remember. Hot Dress? Hot Dress?
Because some people say hot dress and some people say hot dress.
What, like two separate words?
But there is a difference.
I feel like it flows well as one word. It's like, you know, it's bouncy.
Oh yeah. So while we were thinking about the name and like settling into it, I think around the time most of us were like, well, me, Andrew, and Jason, we were like going into our senior year of high school. We wanted to have a band name that like if we were gonna take it into college, like it wouldn't get stale immediately. Like a bunch of other bands around our age and especially in our high school used like one-off meme names, and you could kind of tell. Do I have to? Oh, wait, which one? Oh, yeah. So their band was called No Bread. I don't even know the lore behind that. I don't really want to remember. But anyways, you could tell like no offense. It was like a bit of a one-off name. Like it's good for one gig, and by gig I mean like one school event. So I was like, I don't want this to be like a meme that dies instantly. Like I want it to kind of be like we all did want it to be recognizable, and now we're here. So like taking it into a couple of shows around the state. So.
Okay, very cool. So my last question is like, what's next in the cards for Hot Dress? I know you guys like kind of went on a little IG hiatus, but but like, are you like planning on releasing any new music soon or?
So, yeah, I've been a little like not great with posting recently. School's been a lot, but obviously we have Corefest on the 25th, which is very exciting. And we are going to a studio in Asbury called Lake House Recording Studio on the 19th to record a 5-song EP, which we've played all those songs here today actually. They'll all be on that. I would probably say we're gonna shoot to release it like maybe like early April, or like mid-April. No, mid-April.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, but we're going to the studio on March 19th to record that, and after that it should be a pretty quick process because the recording, like, you're kind of forced to push it out as fast as you can. But I think that's about it for now, other than Corefest on the 25th.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear it. You guys sounded so good today. Thank you so much for coming in. This is 90.3 The Core, Tiny.3 The Core, and I'm your DJ, DJ Tori.